Welcome to our Hong Kong brief. I'm your host, Jenny. Today, we've got some exciting updates to share. First up, Beijing's key figure overseeing Hong Kong affairs, Xia Baolong, is set to visit the city in mid-June. He'll be marking the 5th anniversary of the national security law, inspecting major projects like the Northern Metropolis, and evaluating Hong Kong's progress on President Xi Jinping's development goals. This visit highlights China's focus on economic cooperation, security, and stability amid recent leadership changes and ongoing development efforts. Next, let's talk stocks. Chinese equities are currently benefiting from a global shift away from U.S. assets. Despite some economic slowdown signs and deflation worries, investor optimism persists, especially with supportive measures from the People's Bank of China. Hong Kong-listed mainland companies are catching attention, driven by a weakening U.S. dollar and a sell America trend. However, uncertainties remain, especially around U.S.-China relations and geopolitical tensions, which could influence future gains. And for the foodies and nightlife lovers, Hong Kong's hospitality scene is buzzing. Recent openings include a revamped Cathay Pacific Lounge, a new craft beer taproom by Goose Island, and innovative eateries like Yarucho, serving Japanese-Korean fusion. Plus, Bar Oasis is serving up affordable, handcrafted cocktails, making the city's nightlife even more vibrant. It's a fantastic time to explore Hong Kong's diverse culinary and entertainment options. Please stay tuned as we delve deeper into these stories and more. Continue watching for all the details. South China Morning Post reports that Beijing's top official overseeing Hong Kong, Xia Baolong, is scheduled to visit the city in mid-June to mark the 5th anniversary of the national security law. His visit coincides with a national security legal forum organized by Hong Kong's Department of Justice, where he is expected to discuss the city's implementation of the law, economic development, and the progress of the Northern Metropolis project, a vast land development near the border with mainland China. This visit comes shortly after the appointment of Zhou Ji as the new director of Beijing's liaison office in Hong Kong, signaling a potential shift in focus towards economic cooperation and development. Xia's previous visits and speeches have emphasized safeguarding national security while urging Hong Kong to uphold patriotic values and align with Beijing's broader strategic goals, including fostering patriotism, tolerance, and harmony. His remarks have also targeted external influences, notably criticizing U.S. tariffs and warning local entrepreneurs about betraying national interests, highlighting his firm stance on integrating Hong Kong more closely into China's national framework amid ongoing geopolitical tensions. Meanwhile, Natixis highlights how China's stock markets are gaining from a global retreat from U.S. assets, despite economic uncertainties such as deflation and sluggish growth. Strategists note that Chinese equities, especially Hong Kong-listed H shares, are benefiting from a weakening U.S. dollar and a broader "sell America" trend among investors. While concerns about structural slowdown and weak domestic demand persist, some analysts remain cautiously optimistic, pointing to recent supportive measures by the People's Bank of China and potential policy stimuli. The outlook hinges on the progression of U.S.-China trade negotiations and the recovery of China's economy, which could boost valuations and attract long-term capital inflows from Europe and the U.S. Valuations remain attractive, with Hong Kong stocks trading below their 5-year average price-to-earnings ratios, suggesting potential upside if geopolitical and economic conditions improve, though uncertainties still loom over the second half of 2025. South China Morning Post also details Hong Kong's vibrant new openings, from luxury travel experiences to innovative dining and craft beer venues. The Cathay Pacific Lounge at Hong Kong International Airport has undergone a stunning renovation, offering travelers a human-centric ambience with elegant materials and regional Chinese cuisine at its new noodle bar and the Nook. At Lyndhurst Terrace, the renowned Chicago-based Goose Island Brewery has launched a taproom featuring award-winning craft beers like Goose IPA and Thirsty Goose, with rotating selections to keep beer lovers engaged. In the culinary scene, Yarucho brings Japanese-Korean fusion to Causeway Bay with dishes like nori tacos and snow beef noodles, complemented by bespoke cocktails at the hidden bar Madara. Meanwhile, Bar Oasis in Central responds to the city's demand for affordable, quality cocktails, offering 7 rotating drinks on tap, including the popular grapefruit MC and spicy tequila, providing a relaxed, semi-al fresco environment for socializing. These new venues reflect Hong Kong's dynamic hospitality scene, blending international flavors with local innovation, and catering to both travelers and residents seeking unique experiences. The South China Morning Post reports that HSBC Asset Management is making a strategic move into the private credit market in Asia-Pacific, aiming to launch a dedicated private credit strategy later this year. This initiative comes after HSBC announced plans to infuse $4 billion into its funds, emphasizing support for large, high-performing companies across the region, especially in China, Southeast Asia, and beyond. The bank's goal is to attract external capital to build a $50 billion credit fund within 5 years, focusing initially on direct lending in Asia and the UK. This shift is driven by the decreasing role of traditional bank lending, which has been constrained by increased regulation and the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, creating a gap that private credit funds are now filling. HSBC's private credit efforts are part of a broader industry trend, with financial institutions like Citigroup partnering with private equity firms to develop private credit programs, highlighting the sector's growing attractiveness due to its high returns and diversification benefits. HSBC's focus on China underscores the region's significant growth potential and the bank's confidence in assessing and managing risks there, with plans to support private equity firms, Chinese companies seeking expansion capital, and portfolio diversification for Chinese private equity firms. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation discusses the evolving landscape of respiratory illnesses and COVID-19 protocols as the pandemic's acute phase recedes. Despite the decline in strict quarantine measures, health experts emphasize the importance of staying home when symptomatic, regardless of whether the illness is COVID or another respiratory virus like influenza or RSV. Epidemiologist Anne-Marie Baldwin notes that widespread immunity due to vaccination and prior infection has shifted COVID-19 from a deadly threat to a manageable illness, but caution remains essential. The advice now focuses on symptom-based decision-making. People should avoid work if unwell, communicate with employers, and practice good hygiene, including testing with rapid antigen tests when symptoms appear. The article highlights the availability of quick testing options and stresses that, even without strict quarantine, vulnerable populations should be protected. It also encourages vaccination for COVID and influenza, emphasizing that preparedness and flexibility, such as working from home, are key to managing respiratory illnesses during the ongoing flu season, with health authorities advocating for continued vigilance and responsible behavior. The South China Morning Post also covers the controversy sparked by Yaron Luana-Zhang's Harvard commencement speech, which has ignited a debate in China about educational privilege and inequality. Jiang, the first Chinese woman to be Harvard's commencement speaker, delivered a heartfelt message calling for global unity amid rising tensions over visa restrictions and international relations. However, her privileged background, attending high school in the UK, studying at Duke University, and benefiting from her father's influence, prompted criticism from Chinese social media users who questioned whether her success was accessible to ordinary families. Critics pointed out that her educational journey was facilitated by wealth and connections, contrasting sharply with the typical Chinese student who must pass the Gaokao, a highly competitive national exam. The controversy highlights broader concerns about social mobility and the widening gap in educational opportunities in China, especially amid economic challenges and rising youth unemployment. Despite Zhang's efforts to clarify her background and reject accusations of elitism, the debate underscores ongoing tensions over fairness, privilege, and the future of educational equity in China. The South China Morning Post provides a vivid portrait of Christina Grieven Cuomo, a woman of resilience and grace amid her husband's tumultuous career. Christina, a Cornell graduate and former magazine editor, has carved out her own path in the media world with her wellness magazine, Purist, which champions mindfulness and clarity. Their love story began at an art opening in 1998, and despite Christina's notable lateness to their wedding, an anecdote shared with humor, she has remained a steadfast partner to Chris Cuomo through his rise and fall. Their family life is vibrant, with children excelling in arts, academics, and sports, and Christina's connections with Hollywood A-listers and fashion icons highlight her influential social circle. Throughout Chris Cuomo's scandals involving sexual misconduct allegations, Christina has maintained a composed public stance, choosing silence over confrontation and hosting calm yoga sessions on Instagram to promote mindfulness and resilience, exemplifying her unwavering support and dignity. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation sheds light on the ongoing intimidation campaign faced by Ted Hui, a former Hong Kong parliamentarian turned Australian lawyer, illustrating the brutal reach of political repression. Hui's story is marked by relentless harassment, including anonymous wanted letters offering bounties and fake pamphlets falsely accusing him of crimes and inciting conflict. Despite fleeing Hong Kong to escape criminal charges and living under the shadow of an arrest warrant and a $200,000 bounty, Hui remains undeterred, speaking out for democracy and human rights from exile. His case has garnered support from the South Australian Law Society, which condemns the tactics used against him and emphasises the importance of free expression. The Australian government has voiced its concern, condemning attempts to intimidate and threaten individuals on Australian soil, reaffirming the nation's stance against such authoritarian tactics and underscoring the resilience of Hui's fight for democracy amid the persistent threats from the Chinese regime. The South China Morning Post also narrates the controversial and high-stakes world of U.S. political media through the story of Tammy Radabaugh, a former Fox News producer now working with Pete Hegseth. Radabaugh's career spans major media outlets like CBS, CNN, and Fox, where she was responsible for overseeing extensive live programming before founding her faith-based media company, State of Grace Media. Her recent role as Deputy Assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Strategic Engagement has placed her at the intersection of media and national security. Despite her professional prominence, Radabaugh's personal life remains private, though she openly shares her pride in being a mother of 2 adult sons and her passion for traveling and marathons. Her involvement in sensitive discussions around military and political figures, including her connection to Hegseth's controversial group chats and media strategies, underscores her influence in shaping public narratives amid a landscape fraught with political and media complexities. The Sydney Morning Herald reports that U.S. stock markets are experiencing gains, with the S&P 500 rising by 0.5%, inching closer to its all-time high after a significant recovery from recent lows. The Dow Jones and Nasdaq also saw positive movements, buoyed by strong corporate earnings like Dollar General's 15.2% surge, despite ongoing uncertainties surrounding President Trump's tariffs. While some companies have revised their forecasts downward due to tariff-related concerns, the U.S. economy remains resilient, with employment figures indicating a robust labor market and inflation staying subdued. Meanwhile, global markets show mixed reactions, with Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index soaring 1.5% amid slowing Chinese manufacturing, and the U.S. Treasury yields holding steady at 4.46%, reflecting cautious optimism amid concerns of rising U.S. debt and interest rates. Nikkei Asia highlights Nissan Food holding strategic expansion into inland China, targeting rapidly growing industries such as electric vehicle and semiconductor manufacturing hubs in Sichuan and other regions. Despite sluggish consumer spending due to a real estate downturn and trade tensions, demand for affordable instant noodles remains strong, especially products catering to value-conscious consumers. The company is actively pursuing acquisitions, having recently bought a South Korean snack maker and an Australian frozen dumpling company, with plans to deepen its presence in mainland China and Hong Kong. Nissin is also emphasizing its Japanese heritage through product innovations, like a new cup noodles made entirely from Japanese wheat, as travel to Japan increases and the company aims for record earnings this year. South China Morning Post reports a significant issue in Hong Kong's healthcare system, where over 400 patients at public hospitals face uncertain waits after faulty prostate cancer blood tests were identified. The problematic reagent kits from Abbott Laboratories, used to measure prostate-specific antigen levels, could produce false positives, risking misdiagnosis and unnecessary treatments. The hospital authority is actively reviewing the situation, has replaced the affected products, and is coordinating follow-up care for the patients involved. The incident underscores concerns about medical safety and quality control, prompting investigations into the supplier's practices and potential legal repercussions. Despite the setback, hospitals assure that no patients have undergone unnecessary procedures so far, and comprehensive measures are being taken to safeguard patient health and restore trust in diagnostic processes. The Toronto Star reports that Tim's China, operated by TH International Limited, Nasdaq, THCH, is preparing to announce its first quarter 2025 financial results on June 24, 2025, with a webcast conference call scheduled for 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This event will be accessible via a webcast on their official website, encouraging pre-registration for participants. TH International, founded by Cartesian Capital Group and Tim Hortons Restaurants International, is the exclusive master franchisee of Tim Hortons in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau. The company emphasizes a strategy rooted in world-class execution, data-driven decisions, local relevance, continuous innovation, community engagement, and convenience, aiming to strengthen its presence in the Chinese market. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.